Hey guys, welcome to Team Forbidden's YouTube page again. It is Andrew the Collector here with an updated deck profile for Floowandereeze. As we all know, Floowandereeze did get hit in the recent ban list of having Barrier Statue get banned. While I agree somewhat with that choice, it still hurts because I am an advocate for Floowandereeze. I really like the deck. It's been my most competitive deck that I've used in recent years. It's been my most successful, I should say. And overall, I just had so much fun with it. So say what you want about it. I like the deck. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So to start off, the ratios from my previous list are all the same. I have 3 Rabina, 3 Eaglin, 1 Toucan, and 1 Steer. For those of you who do not know what Floowandereeze do, their gimmick is basically normal summoning. So when you normal summon one of them, you are able to search out or able to do an effect, and then immediately after, for the resolve, you can normal summon again. Rabina's effect is that when it's normal summoned, you can search out a level 4 lower winged beast. Eaglin is the same thing, except that you can search out a level 7 or higher winged beast. Toucan's effect is that you can, when it's normal summon, you can target one of your banished Floowandereeze cards and add it to your hand. And Steer's effect is that when it's normal summoned, you can target a card in either graveyard and banish it. And all of them share the final second effect, to where when they leave the field, they get banished instead. And then while they're banished, if you normal summon, you can Chainlink 2, add it back to your hand. So let's say that you have Rabina in your hand and then Eaglin is banished. You normal summon Rabina, Chainlink 1 to search, Eaglin Chainlink 2 to add. The Chainlink will resolve, Eaglin gets added. Rabina, you search out, for example, your Steer, and then on resolution of Rabina, you can normal summon. If you want, which you can with the Eaglin that you get, and then a new chain will activate where you, since Eaglin was normal summoned, you can search out a level 7 or higher winged beast monster, and then just continue your plays from there. I like this ratio. You can play around with it, but with Steer and Toucan, if you want to put 2 of either, you can. But 3 Rabina and 3 Eaglin are standard. That is one thing I would not change about the deck. And next up would probably be your win condition. In most cases, would be Floowandereeze M-Pen. M-Pen's effect is that when it is normal summoned, or more specifically tribute summoned, you can search out a Floowandereeze spell or trap card from your deck, and then immediately after, you can normal summon any monster. Keep that in mind. That is any monster, not just a Floowandereeze or winged beast monster. That's the one thing that the level 1s are locked into, is that you can only normal summon winged beast monsters, as to where M-Pen can allow you to normal summon any monster. So you can go ahead and fool around with the ratios. Its second effect is that while it's face up, all your opponents face up attack position special summon monsters. I know it's pretty specific, but it actually does really lock them out. All those types of monsters on their side of the field cannot activate their effects. So it's basically Mystic Mind for pretty much Link monsters or any attack position monsters that they control. And its third effect is that if this card battles, you can banish a Floowandereeze card from your. You can banish any card from your hand, and the monster that it's battling, its attack and defense get cut in half. So, really good. It's a really good floodgate, and like I said, it pretty much destroys any Link monster, and it's just super good. The one thing that I replaced with Barrier Statue is Floowandereeze Snowl. In this format, Snowl is an absolute beast, because before I didn't run him in the deck, even though it's really good. But its effect is that once per turn, while you control this card, you can conduct 3 normal summons or set this turn, not just 1. And while this tribute summon card is in the monster zone, if a monster attacks a defense position monster, you can inflict piercing damage to your opponent. And here's where it gets crazy. Once per your opponent's turn quick effect, you can banish 1 card from your hand and change all special summon monsters your opponent controls into face down defense position. So basically, in this format, you know how Book of Eclipse, Book of a Moon, or any of those cards are basically a good tech against Kashtira. So is this one. So let's say that they are starting to establish this board while you have this on field. You wait until a certain point in time, you activate this effect, and put all their stuff face down. And since the Kashtira effects activate after the resolution of a monster effect, since they're face down, they won't get their effect. So yeah, really good. I'm only doing one because I'm just playtesting it for right now. Depending on how the format goes, I might bump it up to 2, but we'll see. And for the rest of the monsters, the things that you can search out with Eaglin, we have 1 Apex Avion for negation, and Rise of the Mega Monarch for good spot removal during your opponent's turn. That's it for the monsters. Really low monster count because the one thing that this deck is really good at is recursion with their monster effects. Now, let's get into the real meat of this deck, which is going to start off with their Broken Field spell, Floowandereeze and the Magnificent Map. During your main phase, you can reveal 1 level 1 Floowandereeze monster in your hand, banish a Floowandereeze card from your with a different name from your deck, and then immediately after this card resolves, normal summon the revealed monster. If your opponent normal summons a monster immediately after the effect resolves, normal summon 1 Floowandereeze monster from your hand. So not only does this give you an additional normal summon during your turn, but it also gives you a normal summon during your opponent's turn, thereby generating effects and interruptions during their turn, which you use most of the time with your Ryza. And sometimes you can do it with Apex Avion to get an extra negation out on board. And the best way to search it out is with their quick play spell, Floowandereeze and the Advent of Adventure. It's a quick play spell. Banish 1 winged beast monster from your hand or face up on the field to add a Floowandereeze monster or Floowandereeze spell card, which is the map, and add it from your deck to your hand, and then gain 500 attack for some reason. But yeah, really good searcher, and it helps you dodge hand traps like Effect Veiler and Infinite Impermanence. Yeah, really good. For the most part, this deck is really budget. This is going to be your most expensive card because I think the last I checked, this card was at $14 or $15, and you need to run 3 of them. So that's it. So that's $45 right there just for these. But everything else is super budget. And to go with it, we have 3 Book of Moon. It's basically the same thing as Advent of Adventure to help you dodge hand traps like Effect Veiler and Infinite Impermanence, or to just put face down any interruptions that your opponent might have, like Kashtira Shangri-La or Arise Heart, or anything else if you just want to bait out any negates. And then 1 Terraforming because we want to get to your field spell as quickly as possible. And next, I'm running 2 Floowandereeze Unexpected Wins. A lot of people only run 1 of these, but now that Barrier Statue is gone, I need more ways to get advantage on the board. So what this card does is that you conduct a tribute summon that requires 2 tributes by sending 1 monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls to the graveyard instead of tributing. This still counts as a tribute summon. Really good spot removal, non-targeting, non-destruction, and your opponent, and it's not an activation, so your opponent can't negate it. And the second effect is during your main phase, you can reveal up to 2 winged beast monsters in your hand and place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, and then draw an equal amount of cards. So it's also a hand fixer. So yeah, really good. At one time I did bump this up to 3, but it didn't quite work out. It was a bit cloggy, but I found 2 to be just perfectly fine. But you can play around with the ratios any way that you want. Now off to the generics. I'm running 2 Dark Ruler No More because this deck the strategy likes to go first, but I have this in here in case I go second, so that way I can break any boards or clear any interruptions, and just overall be able to play the game. And speaking of which, I have 2 Regeki in the main deck. Again, Kashtira boards. Aside from Shangri-La, this can pretty much wipe out a good portion of their resources. 2 Cosmic Cyclone to deal with backrow, same thing with Harpy's Feather Duster, along with Begone Demon Child, also known as Call by the Grave, because while there are cases to where you can Chain Block, Ash Blossom. A lot of times you don't, so it's best to just to have this when you need it. And then 1 gold Sarcophagus, so that way you can banish any of your Rabina or any of your low level Floowandereeze cards, so that way that when you normal summon, you can chain block them to get it back. And that's it for all the spells, which is the main bit. Oh no, I'm sorry, we still have more spells. We just have 3 Pot of Duality and 3 Pot of Prosperity to help dig through our decks. Now off to the traps. Harpy's Featherstorm. Yes, I'm maining a playset. Like I said, Barrier Statue is now banned. I need more ways to gain as much advantage as I can on board. If you control a wing beast monster like M-Pen, until the end of this turn, negate any monster effects your opponent activates. And if you control a Harpy monster, which you don't, you can activate from your hand, but we don't really care about that. But the third effect can be useful, because if this card is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can search out a Harpy's Feather Duster, which we do run. So yeah, but the real reason why you run this is because of the first effect. It's just super good. Locks out your opponent for literally the whole turn. So if you have M-Pen, you can set this. The minute they try and do anything, you can activate this, and they'll pretty much have to pass, depending on what you do. A lot of people cite this. I don't know. I really don't know what they're thinking. I run at least 2 at any given point, but since Barrier Statue got banned, I upped it up to 3, and I have not regretted it since. And then I'm only running 1 Floowandereeze and the Dreamy Town. It's basically a trap card that, when it's activated, allows you to normal summon during your opponent's turn. Like I said with the map, we like to normal summon to get more advantage with our monster effects. And its graveyard effect is that when you tribute summon a level 7 or higher monster while this card is in your graveyard, you banish it to Book of Moon all of your opponent's monsters that they control. So the same idea as Snowl against Kashtira builds. Still really good. I'm actually thinking of bumping this up to 2 and taking out the Solemn Judgment for it. Solemn Judgment, it's really good, but at 1, I don't really think it's worth it. So I'm thinking of taking out Judgment for another Dreamy Town. And that's it for the main deck. The extra deck, it is literally just Waking the Dragon targets, Reaper targets, pretty much just this deck does not go into the extra deck at all, because the thing about Floowandereeze is that with the turn that you use their effects, you can't special summon. So that pretty much makes the extra deck useless, which is why I run Prosperity and I don't really care what I banish. So I, like a lot of people, I opt to just fill the extra deck with either Cherries targets, Waking the Dragon targets, or Dogmatica Punishment targets if you run that in your deck. I'm trying to keep this deck as budget as possible, which is why I'm not running that, because a lot of the stuff that you have, I either don't have or is going to be too expensive. But if you have the room for the budget, or if you have the cards, feel free to mess around with the extra deck as much as you would like. Now off to the side deck. Like I said, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, and Waking the Dragon. I still think they're really good and really useful in any format. Next we have 3-dimensional barrier to lock out your opponent of either monster effects or special summoning certain monsters. This can slow down Kashtira a bit. It definitely slows down tier elements if you run into it. It can work with trap tricks. It can work against Sword Soul, Math Mech. It can work against any non-link heavy decks, basically. So I definitely like it, and it's dirt cheap. Why not? 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. It's still really good. Even though tier isn't a big deal anymore, I still opt to run this because we don't run darks. This has no effect on us. It's a really good floodgate. And 3-dimensional shifters. I used to main this. I don't anymore because tier isn't as big of a threat as it was. But that doesn't mean that the deck is still dead. So I still run it in the side deck in case I run into it, or any other graveyard heavy decks. Like Dark World, for instance, or even Scareclaw in some cases. But anything other Kashtira, this card can works really well against. And 2 Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood, because time is still a bitch in this game until Konami fixes that. I still think that Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood is still a really good side deck. And then our last card is Dark Simorgh. Labyrinth, Eldritch, any back row heavy deck. They're starting to gain traction again, so I'm opting to side this. And if the minute I see a Labyrinth deck, because it's the one back row deck that's really gaining speed in this format. So yeah, definitely putting this in the side deck. Depending on how the format goes, if Labyrinth becomes a real dominating force or a real threat in this format or the next, I'm actually thinking about putting it in the main, because it's still a really good card. And that is it for my Floowandereeze deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any changes that you would recommend for the deck, or if you want to see any future videos, feel free to comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and we will catch you guys later.